making the Riviera their own, a place where money is everything. And in order to be accepted into the inner circle, it seems imperative to own the largest yacht in marinas, already crammed with what look like mini cruise liners, each with their own pools, helicopters and submarines. In the 30s, the richest residents were mainly British, and in order to belong to the charmed circle, social position, style and elegance were considered to be of equal importance to money. In the post-war years, a new set took over. Americans and Europeans mostly, and then it was fame and glamour that counted. This book covers that earlier, more glamorous time on the Riviera, when entry into the charmed circle required either money beyond the dreams of the average human, breeding or talent, and the ability to entertain one's fellow guests. And quite often then, as now, outstanding physical beauty, especially when exquisitely dressed, trumped everything else. Initially, I was inclined to write off these gatherings as nothing more than a coming together of frivolous, rich people to eat lotus and drink champagne, and some of it was just that. However, I came to realize that, in some ways, this lifestyle had its own place in history too. For it was here that the badly bruised Churchill came to recover from his battering during his wilderness years in British politics. He found a different audience prepared to listen to him and admire him as he formulated his policies. He loved luxury, and wallowed unashamedly whenever it was on offer. But in the 30s, such spoiling was beyond his own pocket. He had known Maxine Elliott since he was a stripling, for she had been a friend of his beloved mother. He amply repaid his hostess with wit and conversation, and his mere presence at the villa hiked Maxine's house parties to an altitude where an invitation to dine while Churchill was in residence at the Château de l'Horizon was virtually a royal command, and this included royalty, former royalty, and heads of state. It also brought intellectuals willingly to the table. Maxine never capitalized on this. She sensed Winston was restoring himself, and took great care only to invite people whom Winston liked and would entertain him, or were useful to him. Equally, the Côte d'Azur provided a sanctuary for the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, who were also emotionally battered by the world. They too found a balm of sorts among this shimmering crowd. I felt I could not write the story of the Château and its glittering inhabitants without first telling Maxine Elliott's own story, for how else could one explain the extraordinary mix of world-famous people that this elderly matron in the last decade of her life managed to attract, so that an invitation from her to stay at the Château de l'Horizon was one of the most sought after on the French Riviera, and the Riviera Set drifted towards her house as filings to a magnet. Part 1. 1. In the beginning, Jessie Dermot. Jessie Dermot was born in Rockland, Maine, on the 5th of February 1868, during an ice storm which froze the normally busy harbour into inactivity for 6 weeks. Her father, Tom Dermot, was a New England sea captain of Irish descent. Her mother, Adelaide, came from older pioneering stock, early Protestant immigrants from Bohemia. The family was God-fearing, respectable, and hard-working. Little Jessie, or Detty as the child pronounced it, which became a lifelong nickname, was reared and educated along with her siblings in a strict, no-frills ethos, in a white clapperboard cottage on State Street. Rockland, which had been settled a century earlier and developed around its shipbuilding industry and lime quarries, was still a very small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Who among the respectable New Englanders who dutifully trudged through the snow to attend little Jessie's baptism could have possibly predicted that this baby, born into such an ordinary family, would one day be the toast of 2 continents, be described by an English king as the most beautiful woman in the world, integrate with scarcely a ripple into the normally impenetrable English upper classes, to be regarded as a hostess of international renown, and become the intimate and trusted friend of world leaders. She was not an outstandingly beautiful child, but she was striking and different, olive-skinned and black-haired like her maternal grandmother. But it was her eyes that people most remembered. They were unusual, the colour of alexandrite, whose chief feature is that it appears to change colour with the light. 1 minute.